Well, hello, it's Saturday and it's the last instalment of Diary of the Killer Cat. What do we think is going to happen today? Let's find out. I hate Saturday morning. It's so unsettling. All that fussing and door banging and have you got the purse and where's the shopping list and do we need cat food? Of course we need cat food. What else am I supposed to eat all week? Air? They were all pretty quiet today though. Ellie was sitting at the table carving Thumper a rather nice gravestone out of half a leftover cork floor tile. It said Thumper, rest in peace. You mustn't take it round next door yet, her father warned her, not till they've told us Thumper's dead at any rate. Some people are born soft. Her eyes brimmed with tears. There goes next door now, Ellie's mother said, looking out of the window. Which way is she headed? Towards the shops. Good. If we keep well behind, we can get Tuffy to the vet's without bumping into her. Tuffy? Vets? Ellie was even more horrified than I was. She threw herself at her father, beating him with her soft little fists. Dad, no, you can't! I put up a far better fight with my claws. When he finally prized me out from under the dark of the cupboard in the sink, his woolly was ruined and his hands were scratched and bleeding all over. He wasn't very pleased about it. He doesn't look very pleased, does he? Come out of there, you great fat furry psychopath. It's only a flu jab you booked in for, more's the pity. Would you have believed him? I wasn't absolutely sure. Neither was Ellie, so she tagged along. I was still quite suspicious when we reached the vet's. That was the only reason why I spat at the girl behind the desk. There was no reason on earth for her to write handle with care on top of my case notes. Even the Thompson's Rottweiler doesn't have handle with care written on the top of his case notes. What's wrong with me? So, I was a little rude in the waiting room. So what? I hate waiting. And I especially hate waiting stuffed in a wire cat cage. It's cramped, it's hot, and it's boring. There he is in his wire cat cage. After a few hundred minutes of sitting there quietly, anyone would start teasing their neighbours. I didn't mean to frighten that little sick baby gerbil half to death. I was only looking at it. It's a free country, isn't it? Can't a cat even look at a sweet little baby gerbil? And if I was licking my lips, which I wasn't, it was only because I was thirsty. Honestly, I wasn't trying to pretend I was going to eat it. The trouble with baby gerbils is they just can't take a joke, and neither can anyone else around here. Let's have a look at Tuffy. What do you think? Do you think he's licking his lips? I think maybe he is. Ellie's father looked up from the pamphlet he was reading called Your Pet and Worms. Oh, nice, very nice. Turn the cage round the other way, Ellie, he said. Ellie turned my cage round the other way. Now I was looking at Fisher's Terrier. And if there's any animal in the world that should have handle with care written on the top of his case notes, it's the Fisher's Terrier. Okay, so I hissed at him. It was only a little hiss. You'd practically have to have bionic ears to hear it. And I did growl a bit. But you'd think he'd have a head start on growling. He's a dog after all. I'm only a cat. And yes, I spat a bit. But only a bit. Nothing you'd even notice unless you were waiting to pick on a person. Well, how was I to know he wasn't feeling very well? Not everyone waiting for the vet is ill. I wasn't ill, was I? Actually, I've never been ill in my life. I don't even know what it feels like. But I reckon, even if I were dying, something furry locked in a cage could make an incy-wincy little noise at me without me ending up whimpering and cowering and scrabbling to get under the seat and hide behind the knees of my owner. Oh dear, let's have a look. He is, isn't he, hiding behind the knees of his owner? More a chicken than a Scotch terrier, if you want my opinion. Could you please keep that vile cat of yours under control, Mrs. Fisher said nastily. Ellie stuck up for me. He's in a cage. He's still scaring half the animals in here to death. Could you cover him up with something? Ellie was going to keep arguing, I could tell. But without even looking up from his worm pamphlet, her father just dropped his raincoat over my cage as if I was some mangy old parrot or something. And everything went black. No wonder by the time the vet came at me with her long, nasty needle, I was in a bit of a mood. I didn't mean to scratch her that badly, though, or smash all those little glass bottles, or tip the expensive new cat scales on the floor, or spill all that cleaning fluid. It wasn't me who ripped up my record card into tiny pieces, though. That was the vet. Oh dear, I wonder why the vet did that. When we left, Ellie was in tears again. She hugged my cage tightly to her chest. Oh, Tuffy, until we find a new vet who'll promise to look after you, you must be careful not to get run over. Fat chance, her father muttered. I was just glowering at him through the wire cage when he spotted Ellie's mother standing knee-deep in shopping bags outside the supermarket. You're very late, she scolded. Was there a bit of trouble at the vet's? Ellie burst into tears. I mean, talk about wimp. But her father was made of sterner stuff. He was just about to take the most huge breath, ready to snitch on me, when suddenly he let it out again. Out of the corner of his eye, he spotted trouble of another sort. Quick, he whispered. Next door is just coming through the checkout. He picked up half the shopping bags. Ellie's mother picked up the rest. But before we could get away, next door had come through the glass doors. Now all four of them were forced to chat. Morning, said Ellie's father. Morning, said next door. Nice day, said Ellie's father. Lovely, agreed next door. Nicer than yesterday, said Ellie's mother. Oh, yes, next door said. Yesterday was horrible. She probably just meant the weather, for heaven's sake, but Ellie's eyes filled with tears. I don't know why she was so fond of Thumper. I'm the one who's supposed to be her pet, not him. And because she couldn't see where she was going properly anymore, she bumped into her mother, and half the tins of cat food fell out of one of the shopping bags and rolled off down the street. Oh dear, they're all rolling away. Ellie dumped down my cage and chased off after them. Then she made the mistake of reading the labels. Oh no, she wailed. Rabbit chunks. Really, that child is such a drip. She'd never make it in our gang. She really wouldn't last a week. Talking about rabbit, said next door, the most extraordinary thing happened at our house. Really? Said Ellie's father, glaring at me. Yes. Really? Ellie's mother said, glaring at me as well. Yes, said next door. On Monday, poor Thumper looked a little bit poorly, so we brought him inside. And on Tuesday he was worse. And on Wednesday he died. He was terribly old, and he'd had a really happy life, so we weren't feeling too bad about it. In fact, we had a little funeral. We buried him in a box at the bottom of the garden. I'm just staring up at the clouds now. And on Thursday he was gone. Gone? Gone. Yes, he was gone. And all that was left of him was a hole in the ground and an empty box. Really? Good heavens! Ellie's father was giving me the most suspicious look. And then yesterday, next door went on, something even more extraordinary happened. Thumper was back again, all fluffed up nicely, and back in his hutch. Back in his hutch, you say? Fluffed up nicely? How strange. You have to hand it to them. They're good actors. They kept it up all the way home. What an amazing story. How on earth could that have happened? Quite astonishing. So strange. Then, when we were safely inside our front door, both of them turned on me. Deceitful creature, making us think you'd killed him, just pretending all along. I knew that cat could never have done it. That rabbit was even fatter than he is. You'd have thought they'd have wanted me to murder old Thumper. All except Ellie. She was sweet. Don't you dare pick on Tuffy, she told them. You leave him alone. I bet he didn't even dig poor Thumper up. I bet it was the Fisher's nasty, vicious little terrier who did it. All Tuffy did was bring Thumper back to us so we could make sure that he was buried again properly. He's a hero, a kind and thoughtful hero. She gave me a big soft squeeze. Isn't that right, Thumper? I'm saying nothing, am I? I'm a cat, so I just sit and watch while they unnailed my cat flap. And there's Ellie, giving Tuffy a nice cuddle while Dad goes to unnail the cat flap. Well, I hope you enjoyed Diary of a Killer Cat. I think it was a very funny book. Have a lovely weekend. I'll speak to you next week. Bye.